Today I'm going to talk about training and development. It is a major topic in the field of human resource management. However, it is important HRM functions for all kind of workers in the organization, especially in future as a food science professional. You have to do the training and development activities for your subordinates. Therefore, this topic is important for all, including your field. Then I want to say training and development has two sessions. This is the first session. Then these are the learning outcome of this session. Understand the term of training. Second one, understand the term of development. Then there are two terms, training and development, T and D. Understand the difference between training and development. Understand the term of learning and understand the training process and understand the training need analysis. Training need analysis is the first step of training process. Okay, then definitions. The first definition for the training and development, both area, broad way. Training and development is a formal process. It is a formal process aiming to change the employee behavior and motivation. Employee behavior and the motivation. Behavior and motivation of employee are changing through formal process. How? In the way that will enhance employee job performance. Why we are changing employee behavior? Why we are motivating employees? For the purpose of enhancing employee job performance. When enhancing employee job performance, it implies enhancing the organizational overall job performance. Then ultimate purpose of training and development is to increase the overall organizational performance. Then through increasing, enhancing, developing, upgrading employee job performance, company need to perform better or company need to be success. That is the main purpose of training and development activity or function. Then first one, we will see the idea about training. First one, training. Training is often seen as a planned and systematic process of learning. It is a planned learning, systematic learning in the sense of why we are plan and systematically learn for the purpose of acquiring, modifying, and or developing. Acquire, obtain, modify, change, or develop, enhance. What? What are the things we are acquiring? What are the things we are modifying? What are the things we are developing? First one, knowledge. Second one, skills. Then third one, abilities. Knowledge, skills, and abilities. K is A. Then what is the training? Training is planned and systematic process of learning in the sense of acquiring, modifying, developing knowledge, skills, and abilities in order to achieve and or improve employee performance. Employee performance. Then we, under the training program, training activity, we try to modify, acquire, modify, develop employee knowledge, skills, and abilities for the purpose of improving the employee performance. The important thing is we are improving the employee performance in the current job. Current job. We are improving the knowledge, we are improving the skills, we are improving the abilities of employee focusing current job and prepare them for an intended job. Intended job. Then the second definition for training. Training can be defined as organized procedure, systematic approach by which through the systematic way people learn knowledge or skill for a certain purpose. Certain purpose. For the example, assume my communication skill is not enough to do my job. Then communication, to improve the communication is the way of training or the purpose of training. The training focus to improve the communication skill. Then here says systematic procedure, systematic process, and through it, people learn knowledge and skill for a certain purpose, improving skills, improving knowledge, improving attitudes. The third definition, training is a systematic development of knowledge. It is a systematic development. Then through the systematic approach, knowledge, skills, and attitudes required by employee to perform adequately on a given task or job. Then training is a systematic development of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Again, KSA. Then through systematic approach, we try to enhance knowledge, skills, and attitude required by the employee. Employee needed knowledge, employee needed skill, employee needed attitude. Why those things are needed? To do the job successfully, properly. Then these are the characters of training. Training refers to a systematic approach, systematic process to improve the individual, team, or organizational effectiveness. Then through the training program, we try to improve individual performance, team performance, and finally, organizational performance. Then training is normally viewed as short-term approach. It may be 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. Using the 2-3 weeks training session, we focus immediate performance improvement. We need immediate performance improvement. It is applied to technical staff, lower managers, and middle managers. Then it is clear training is short-term oriented concept and applied to the technical officers, lower level managers, and middle level managers. Then we will move to discuss development. What is the meaning of development? Development refers to activities leading to the acquisition of new knowledge or skill, the same way as a training and development. However, we are acquiring new knowledge and skill through the systematic way for the purpose of personal growth. Then training leading to job performance. Job performance. However, development leading to personal development, personal growth, personal achievement. The second definition for development. Development is any learning activity which is directed toward future needs rather than present need, not the present need. Then training and development, training leading to present need, development leading to future needs, future need, and which is concerned more with career growth than immediate performance. Then this is short term, then development long term. Then it is clear development is any learning activity which is directed toward future needs rather than present need, and which is concerned more with career growth than immediate performance. These are the characters of development. It enables leaders to guide their organization onto new expectations by being proactive. Then, as a result of development, employee can think future rather than the reaction. Reaction means action taken as a result. As a result, then we take the action. But proactive means without past action, we think innovatively, creatively. Then, as a result of development or development effort leading to proactive approach rather than reactive approach. It enables workers to create better products, faster service, and more competitive organization. Then training focus better product, but concerning the available product. Faster service, but considering the available service. But through the development, we can introduce new product, new services. Then through new product, new way, new services, we can face for the competitiveness. It is learning for growth of individual. Then development focusing to growth of individual, but not related to specific present or future job. Then development doesn't focus a specific skill, specific knowledge, specific attitude. Then development leading to overall knowledge, overall skills, overall attitudes. It is broad concept. Okay, then comparison of training and development. Now we need to compare training and development. Then here I use 4 dimensions to compare the training and development. Then who? Training for managers, non-managers. Development for managers. It is clear. Training program designed for non-managers. Development program are designed for managers. What? Under the training program, we are covering technical or mechanical operations. How to operate the machine, how to replace the part of the machine, likewise technical or mechanical operation. Then how to talk, how to handle the telephone, how to handle the telephone convocations, the technical matters. But through the development, we try to develop theoretical or conceptual ideas. Then development focus into develop your brain, conceptual skill, theoretical skill. Theoretical and conceptual skills are important to see the future first or see the future. Therefore, training focus to technical and mechanical operation, development focus into theoretical and conceptual ideas. Then why? Then training for specific job related information. Then through the training program, we are giving how to do the job, how to do the activity. But through the development, we are giving general knowledge. For example, why you are studying HRM? Your special field is food science and technology. But you, as a manager in future, when you are doing your profession, you have to handle the workers. You have to deal with the organization. Then you have to get the idea about organizational management. You have to get the idea about how to handle the workers. Why you are learning marketing? As a professional or scientist, when you are introducing a product, then you have to think about the market. Sometimes you can create marvelous food item, but it is not the product to buy by the worker, buy by the customers. Then there is no meaning. Therefore, when you are introducing a new product, then you have to think about the customer, customer behavior, customer trend, customer attitude, customer buying behavior. Therefore, through the development, we are providing general knowledge. Then when training program, usually short term, development program, usually long term. For the example, university education, it is a development. Then you spend 4 years. Then through the university education, then you learn subject matters, then you are going to internship, then you are dealing with different people, then you are dealing with different subject areas, like you are going to Basha and enjoy with the talents of students. Then all these things bring new insight into your brain. That is the development. But training is specifically train you certain activities. Then we will see purpose of training and development. Why companies spend time and money. Training and development is an investment. Why company invest money for training and development? These are the purpose of training and development. To increase the quality of the product and service. Through the training and development, we can increase the quality of products. Then we are change the worker knowledge, skills, and attitude to produce better product. To increase the quantity of product, through the proper training program, we can increase the number of products produced by the worker. Then through the high quality product and high quantity of the product, we can increase overall productivity of the section or the company through the training and development. In other way, training and development leads to reduce wastage, defects, to reduce number of workplace accidents. Then when you are inappropriately handle the machine, then there may be a reason to accident. But if you have a train or you have the idea about how to handle the machine through training, proper training, then you can avoid the workplace accidents. Then to reduce degree of supervision, if you are trained worker, then there is no need to supervise because you know how to do the job. To improve employee motivation, then provide in training program, participate in training program, acquiring new knowledge, skill, attitude, then it brings inner happiness for the worker, then increase employee morale. Then as a result of motivation, finally worker morale, motives are increased. That is the training purpose. Then there is a new concept, learning. Why I am going to talk about learning. Learning is the main mechanism of training and development program. When you are going to training or development program, you 100% involved the learning process. Learning process, for the example, university education. It is a learning process. Therefore, learning and development are interrelated concepts or important two concepts. In a training program, learning is complex. Then workers are different, their learning styles are different. Therefore, in the training program, we have to concern the learning style, pattern, trends, way of the workers because it is complex and multi-dimensional process. In order to realize the program objective, training or development objective, it is necessary the trainer consider the learning process as a compulsory thing. Then whatever the level or whatever the training or the development program, when we are going to design training program or development program, we have to think about the learning process. Learning process. Learning process of the worker, that is important because training and development highly based on learning activities, learning process, learning mechanism. And learning is the process of acquiring new understanding. Then learning means process of obtain what? New understanding, new knowledge, new behavior, new skills, new values, new attitudes, new preferences. For example, now you are the second year. Before 2 years, when you compare before 2 years and current situation, you have new understanding about the world, new understanding about the people, new knowledge about the world, new behavior you have, new skill you have, new value system you have, new attitudes you have. Why? As a result of learning, then learning leading to acquire, obtain new understanding, new knowledge, new behavior, new skill, new values, new attitudes. Then as a result of acquiring new things in your personality, these are the results. Relatively permanent change, then within your personality, there is a permanent change. Within your personality, there is a permanent change. Then learning is a relatively permanent change. For the example, you learn something, but you erase those things. Then that is not a learning. Then you learn, but short term you discarded, erase. It means that is not permanent change. Then permanent change means when you hear something, then you keep in your mind. When at the second time, when you are going to do something, then you recall, you remember, you apply. One, it is a permanent change. Then learning is the relatively permanent change in a person's knowledge, skills, and attitude. It means you have new knowledge, new skills, new attitudes than the past. Then for the example, as a result of learning, you know more than that knew before. Before 2 years, whatever the amount you learn, now you have more. Knows more than what he or she knew before. Then possesses a skill that he or she did not have before. Now you have skill which were not belong before 2 years, did not have before. Then understand what he or she has not understand before. Sometime you can now understand the better world better than 2 3 years. Make better decision compare with the previous decision made. Now you can make better decision rather than the past because of learning, as a result of learning. Then learning is a permanent change of your knowledge, skills, attitudes. When we are talking about learning, then we have to think about the learning style. Then different people learn different learning style. For example, some use graphic pictures to understand. Some people use brain to think. uh, Through thinking, understand something. Therefore, different people use different approach to learn. For the example, at the very basic level, grade 1, 2, 3, children learn how using symbol. Then we draw a picture, then name. This is an apple. This is the mother. This is the father. Then through the symbol we learn. But when we are coming to the other age mean when you come to grade 10, 12 or university level, then you try to understand the world using concept. For the example, we assume motivation. Motivation is a concept. It is difficult to draw. No picture. Love. That is a concept. There is no picture. Trust. There is a concept. No picture. Now you understand love, trust, cooperation, motivation, reward, whatever the many concepts using conceptual way rather than the symbolic way. Then some students like to think the symbol. Sorry, some students like to use symbol rather than the concept. Some students like concept rather than the symbol. Likewise, different students use different learning style. And concerning the different pattern of learning, basically we can find three learning curves. Learning curve means speed of learning of the individual. Speed of the learning. For the example, in your class, some student can quickly understand. Then some student averagely understand after 2, 3, 4 seconds or minutes, then you understand. Then some student try to understand the concept explained by the lecturer, but you need more time. Sometime after 1 month, one day, 2 day, 3 day, then you understand. Or sometimes you can't understand. The speed of learning of individual. It indicates level of learning with the time spent. Time spent. There are three types of learning curve. Negatively accelerated learning curve, positively accelerated learning curve, skill acquisition learning curve, negatively accelerated learning curve, positively accelerated learning curve, and skill acquisition learning curve. Then we will see first one, negatively accelerated learning curve. Negatively accelerated learning curve. The negatively accelerated learning curve present here the level of learning or knowledge, here the time. At the beginning, you quickly learn, then you spend small time, but you learn more amount of the learning. At the beginning, this is the beginning. When you come to the end of the course, yes, in end of the year, you spend more time, but you learn very small thing, very small thing when compared with the beginning stage. That is negatively accelerated learning curve. At the beginning, you quickly learn, but when you come to the end of the part, end of the session, you are learning speed is low. That is negatively accelerated learning curve. Then positively accelerated learning curve. At the beginning, you spend more time to learn small thing. Spending more time, you learn very small thing. But at the end of the period, end of the session, end of the course, you spend small time, but you learn big amount, big amount. At the beginning, you are learning speed is low rather than the path, rather than the later part, end of the path. At the beginning, you start slowly, but at the end, your speed is high. That is positively accelerated learning curve. The third one, skill acquisition learning curve. In skill acquisition learning curve mean at the first part, you obtain the new knowledge, skills, and attitude. Then you spend the time to acquire new knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Then second part, you try to apply your knowledge, skills, attitude. Then spending 1, 2, 3, 4 months or years, then you try to realize the reality of your knowledge, reality of your skill, reality of your knowledge. Then after practicing your knowledge, then you need certain time to practice, apply, enjoy the learned thing. Then after certain time period, then you again start to learn the third part. Then this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third part. Then first one you learn, then secondly you use your learning thing to acquire the reality. Then thirdly, you again enjoy with the learning. That is skill acquisition learning curve. Then when we are concerning the reality, for the example, the subject of human resource management, then learning curve may be different. Then some student learning curve may be like or this way, another one. Another learning curve may be this way. Another learning curve may be this way. Then no time, there is no changing of the performance when you spend the time. Then there may be several students, nothing, no understanding, no understanding, no understanding, like this way. No understand. So sometimes your knowledge may be like this way. Then different pattern may be presented. Different pattern may be presented for certain activities, certain areas. That is learning curve. Then understanding of learning curve of your subordinators. It is important to design training program before you are going to do a training activity, training program, training session, or preparing training course. Then you have to think about the specially level of the worker. For the example, you can't use technical term when you are going to teach or tell something at the people who are very low level education. For the example, you are going to explain some importance of the certain foods to the villagers. Then you can't use your technical knowledge, technical terms, scientific terms, chemical formulations. Why? Chemical formulas can't understand. uh, they use very simple language. Therefore, you have to use very simple language. When you are prepared, when you are guide to prepare advertisement, you can't use technical terms. Then you have to analyze the buying behavior, buyer's knowledge, buyer perception, buyer uh, educational level. Then you have to convert your technical terms into an appropriate word. Likewise, when you are going to do a training program, then you have to think about the audience nature. In the training process, when we are going to do a training, there are several steps we have to follow. Then training process. Process consists of several steps. Here I mention only 5 training steps. Then several people use several steps, but for the your understanding, I here use 5 steps. First one, identifying training needs. Before we are going to deliver a training program, we need to understand what are the real training need of the employee. Then second one, based on the identifying training needs, then we have to establish training objectives. Determine training objectives. Then based on training objective, we have to design the training program. After we design the training program, now we have the plan. Then we have to implement or do the training, actually present the training program. Then finally, we have to show whether our training program is effective or not. Therefore, we have to evaluate the training program. Therefore, there are identifying training needs, step 1, establishing training objective, step 2, designing training program, step 3, implementation, step 4, evaluation of training program, step 5. Then I use these 5 steps to explain the training process. Then this session cover step 1, identifying training needs. Identifying training needs. Before going to identify the training needs, we have to get the idea about performance gap. The performance gap means the difference between expected performance EA and actual performance AP, EP and AP. Then the formula performance gap is equal EP minus AP, expected performance minus actual performance. For the example, then we are expecting 100 unit, actual performance is 75, then there is a performance gap 25 units. Then before going to identify the training needs, we have to analyze what are the reasons for this gap. Then reasons for 25 units. Performance gap 25 units. There may be several reasons. One, lack of knowledge, skills, and attitude of the employee. Lacking of knowledge, skills, attitude of employee. One reason. The second reason may be other reasons. What are the other reasons? First one, lack of motivation. Then workers' skill, competency, knowledge, everything are okay. But 25 lacking. The reason is worker competent, but he or she is not like to do the best because of lack of motivation. Then other reasons, incorrect workflow, job design. Then worker try to achieve the target, but our workflow, our machines, our content of the job are not perfect. There are many errors. Therefore, worker cannot achieve the 25 units, 100 units. Then worker cannot achieve the 100 units. Then lack of motivation. If workers' motivation is lack, then we have to use motivation method, motivational mechanism like reward system or other incentive system, bonus system, any other motivational strategies. Then incorrect workflow or job design. Then we have to use correct HRM practices system. Then we have to redesign, re-engineer in HRM activities. Then the main thing, lack of knowledge, skills, and attitude. Then what is the way we can reduce to lacking the knowledge? The main way is training. Main way is training. Then training need. What is the training need? Training need is a need for human performance improvement, employee performance improvement, employee performance improvement that can best be met through training of some kind. This need must be spelled out in clear, behaviorally oriented term. Behaviorally oriented term. Then clearly we have to say 25 units lacking, 25 unit lacking because the workers are not aware how to operate the machine, or how to start the machine, how to stop the machine, how to replace the product. Likewise, clearly behaviorally oriented terms you have to use when we are going to find the training needs. The training need analysis is effectively a skill gap analysis. What is the reasons of 25 units, lacking of 25 units? Skill gap analysis. Main aim is to find out the current state and formulated desired state through the training need analysis. The difference between two states will lead you to identify the gap and plan a training program that resolve it. Then this is the difference between expected level and actual level, 25 units. If you have clear picture about what are the reasons for this 25 unit, then you can prepare successful training program. Successful training program. We assume the real reasons for 25 lacking 25 unit is the unable or unawareness of the machine. But if you are giving another training, for the example, we assume you are giving skill, communication skill training, or leadership skill training, motivational training. Those are not matched with the real training need. The real training need is unawareness of the machine. Therefore, then you have to thoroughly understand what is the reasons for these 25, these lacking these 25 units. Then reasons for performance gap. What are the reasons? Then first one, lack of competencies of this employee. Likewise, I am not aware how to operate the machine, lacking competencies. Then sometimes we can find workers' way is proper, worker knowledge is okay, but there is another best way to do the job. Current method is appropriate, current method of doing the job is okay, but we can redesign of doing the job better way. Then better way, worker doesn't know the better way. Worker know the proper way, proper or accepted way. But we can introduce, no, this method is not the proper, then you can use this method. Then through the new method, we can increase the performance. Then technical changes. As a result of technical changes, workers' knowledge, awareness going down. For example, introducing new equipment. Then if there is a new equipment, we have to give a training program. Why? How worker do the work, how worker operate the machine. There is a question. Or techniques, machines or technique, equipment, machine, tools and techniques, technical changes. Then change in working method or product produce. Sometime up to this point, we are using manual. Now we introducing machine oriented method. Then we have to train the worker. Then other reason, desire to reduce the amount of scrap and to improve quality. Then company decide to reduce amount of scrap or defects and to improve the quality. Therefore, then company use new methods, new approach to produce the product or offer the service. To increase the number of accidents, then company accident rate is going to increase. Then company management analyze what are the reasons, then identifying reasons, then they introduce new method, new tools, new system to reduce the accident. Then we need to offer the training program. The important thing, new customer behavior, then we are going to offer the new product to the market. Not new product, we are saying our market is usually offering to the market. Our product is usually offering to the market. Then market means a customer behavior. When changing customer behavior, we have to adapt to these changes. Otherwise, no survival in the market. Therefore, when there is a change in the customer, then we have to study the customer change and then we have to change our product. We have to change our service. Then need the training program. New competitor and their innovations. Then when competitor bring innovations, we have to introduce the innovation. Then innovation means new things. New thing means new training program. New market that are to be served. When we are going to new market, then new market means new product and services. New product and services mean we have to develop our employees' skills, knowledge, attitude, considering the market requirements. Then last one, legal requirements. Legal requirements. When changing the legal requirement, employee need to know what are the changes of the legal requirement. Then according to the legal changes, we have to adapt. We mean employee. Then we have to update the employee knowledge, skills and attitudes regarding the legal changes. The reasons for identifying training needs, why we are spending time, we are using different method to identify the training needs. The reasons is If we have clear idea about the employee training need, we can determine what training is relevant to the employee job. If we have any clear idea about the employee training needs, we can't design proper training program. The second one, determine what training will improve performance. Then if we have clear training need profile picture, then we can use training program to reduce these training gap or need gap. Then through it we can improve the employee performance. Determine if training will make difference. After the training program, there should be a change, different behavior, different way of doing behavior, job. Then we can measure the difference. We can identify the difference when we are giving proper training program. Proper training program is depend on the real training needs gap. Distinguish training need from organizational problem through the training need, clear training need identifications. Then link job performance with the organization goal, and bottom line through identifying real training needs of the employee. Then training need assessment techniques, how to identify the employee training needs, how to identify the training needs of employee. Then there are many techniques. Here I use simple techniques to understand. First one, observation. This is very common activity, observation, observing. Then you observe the employee working behavior. Through your observation, you can find these are the areas lacking of the worker. Then considering your idea, then you can prepare the training program. The observation is having these advantage. First one, generate real life data relevant to work environment. When you are observing the employee, then you can get real data, how worker behave, how worker talk with other, how worker operate the machine, how worker mix in the chemical. Then second one, minimize interruptions of routine workflow or group activity. Then you are observing separately, therefore workers work is continually doing. There is no interruption of routine work of the work. Then workers are not participating directly, not participating to the data gathering. You are the person observing. Then through observing, you can get real data without interruption of the day-to-day activities. Then this disadvantage of observation. Then when we are observing employee behavior, we have to gather the real performance gap. How we identify the real performance gap? Through our observation. Therefore, observation should be done very proper way, very accurate way. Then to do the proper and accurate way of observing, observer need a skill. There should be a need skilled observer, skilled observer. Then as a manager, as an outsider, as a person, then I can go and observe the employee behavior. But sometimes I cannot identify the real performance gap, real workers' bad behavior, inappropriate behavior because of lacking observation skill. Then employees' behavior may be affected by being observed. Then now I am going to observe the worker behavior. Then workers identify, there is a supervisor, there is a HR manager, there is a our boss observing us. Then they change their behavior as a result of observing. Then you can't get real picture. Third one, allow data collection only in the work setting. You can get employee performance data from only from the work setting. Sometimes, some jobs, you can't use observation to identify. For the example, scientists, how you gather the data? It is difficult because scientists usually do the job his or her mind. His behavior, it is very difficult to use as a source to gather the data. Then make cause spite on feeling. When you go to observe the employee, then employee perceive, there is a officer who came to the factory or the office because of controlling, monitoring. That type of feeling may be there. Therefore, worker, there is a fear for observer. These are the disadvantage. The second techniques, survey or questionnaire. Then survey or questionnaire mean we prepare a questionnaire or document, then distribute the document to the workers, then we ask to fill the document, then after filling the document, we gather the document and analyze the data given by the worker. These are the advantage. It is inexpensive. Within short time period, we can gather many data. Can collect data from large number of persons. Within 1, 2, 3 hours, we can get 1,000 workers data. Yield data easily summarized and recorded. Then our questionnaire is standard. Therefore, we can summarize the data and analyze the data quickly because we have all information given by the workers on pages, documents, papers. Give opportunity of response without fear of embarrassment. There is no fear when I have a questionnaire without name, I can fill. There is no fear. Therefore, we can get real data. However, these are the disadvantages. Require substantial time for development of effective survey and questionnaire. To develop real, practical, applicable, correct, proper questionnaire or survey, we need more time. Then, sometime return of questionnaire remain at lower rate. We distributed 1,000 but return 100. 900 did not return. Then lacks detail. The employee usually put on the data considering the questions. Therefore, he or they think the space given us and the question, then they give very limited information. Therefore, the data are limited, no in detail data. Then only provide information directly related to the question asked. Then workers are not giving any other detail. Sometimes any other details we have to use to identify the training needs. But in this method, there is a disadvantage. The information is relevant only to the questions. Without the question, no any information out of the questions. Then performance appraisal. Then you have idea about performance appraisal. Then we periodically assess the employee performance. These data can be used to identify the training needs. The advantage indicates strength and weaknesses in skills and knowledge to identify training and development needs. However, there are few disadvantages. Can be costly to develop the system, implement the appraisal, and process the results. When company maintaining performance appraisal system, it need more money. Performance appraisal mean big investment. The second one may enable manager to manipulate rating to justify a fair raise. Then sometime manager then we are using performance evaluation for the purpose of different thing. However, when worker pursue the performance evaluation for punishment or promotion or pay or increment or bonus, then it is difficult to get the real profile of the worker. May invalidate the appraisal because of supervisor bias. If supervisor is not evaluating workers' performance properly, then the data is inappropriate. Then test, like your final exam test, examination test. Then we can prepare a paper, then distribute to the worker, then giving a time period, we get the answers. Then through reviewing the answers, we can get what are the knowledge gap, what is the knowledge gap, what are the skills gap, what are the attitudes gap. Then advantage can be helpful in determining deficiencies in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitude through the paper. Then easily quantifiable and comparable. Then we can compare these worker know this item of the machine, but these worker are not aware about the part of this machine. Likewise, we can quantifiable and comparable the test. Disadvantage may be constructed for the audience and validity can be questionable. Then we can prepare the questionnaire. Sorry, we can prepare the test exam paper. Then how we are justify the validity of test and the performance is very questionable. Does our paper present the real workplace or real working setting? Then second one, do not indicate if measured knowledge and skill are actually being used on the job. Then knowledge may be different with the application. Then sometimes I have the knowledge. For the example, when I am driving, I know every uh, sign or every rules, but I know the things, rules and regulations, but my driving is totally out of these things. It may be happen. Then interviews. Then one by one, face to face, one by one, or as a group, we can interview. Then we ask questions, different questions we ask. Then through these questions, we can find the employee training needs. These are the advantage, good at uncovering detail of training need as well as cost and solution of the problem we can gather through the interview. Then we can ask why you are late, what are the reasons. Likewise, we can ask job related, personal related, or company related, supervisor related, many things from the interview. Can explore unanticipated issues that come up. Then we can, through the interview, ask different related as well as unrelated questions. Then through unrelated questions, we can find the different, we can real training needs from different angle. Uncover attitudes, cause of problems, and possible solution can be reviewed, recovered, understand through the interviews. Allow for natural feedback. Natural feedback means when face-to-face interview, then workers' reaction, workers' reply, explain the many things. Then using these reply or the behavior or the words, the statement, we can identify the workers' training need requirements. However, interview method has several disadvantages. Time consumed. We assume there are 100 employees. Then we assume we schedule 30 minutes for one. Then how many time we have to spend? Then difficult to analyze and quantify results. Then if our questionnaire is not structured, it is open-ended questions, then we gather many ideas, many angles. Then how we summarize the data. It is very difficult to analyze and quantify results. They need skill interviewer. Then interview usually can be done many people, all the people. But if it is not skillful one, what will be happen? Our data not relevant to find the real training needs. Then difficult to schedule the interviews. Those are the disadvantage of interviewing. However, then you can use different method to identify the training needs requirement of the employee. Then here, there are another three approach we can use to identify the training requirements. Then here I listed only two. In addition to these two, then we can use another analysis. The analysis name organizational analysis. Then here, according to your understanding, I use only two. There are two approaches that can be used to analyze the training need. One is job task analysis. The second one, person analysis. Then we will see what is the meaning of job task analysis and what is the meaning of person analysis. Then job task analysis mean then you through the your analysis method with the observation, questionnaire or interview or test or whatever the method when you are going to use, you have to address this area. What is the area? Job task area. The job task analysis is a systematic breakdown of job into the component parts. Then you have to break down the job step sequences. The goal of job task analysis is to produce a list of tasks required to perform a particular job. Then we identify these are the essential activities to do the job. Then for each task, to identify the skills and competencies needed to perform the tasks. Then firstly, we break down the job. Then we identify the sequence of the activity sequences. Then taking one by one, we analyze what are the skills and competencies required to do that small activity. A task analysis is usually done by collecting information from subject matter experts through interviews, focus group, or survey. The final output should include a detailed description of manual activities, mental activities, task durations, frequency, any necessary equipment, tools, skills, and competencies required to perform a given task. Then through this job task analysis, we can find what are the manual activities, what are the mind-oriented activities, what are the task durations, and the frequency of the tasks, or activities and any necessary equipment, tools or machines and skills and competencies required to perform a given task through the job task analysis. The second one, person analysis. Then here we identify the job requirements. Then we analyze the person. This analysis identifies who has mastered and who need to learn. Then we use a model worker. Then this is the model worker, model behavior. Then compare with the worker with model worker or model sample, and who need to learn the skill and competencies that were determined in previous task analysis steps. Then we compare the employee behavior with the job task analysis or the activity done under job task analysis. This will help you target your training at those areas with the widest gap between the status quo and the desired outcome. What are the expected outcome and the current situation? Considering expected and current situation, then you can design the training program, because this will help you target your training at those areas with the widest gap, the big gap of the work. The person analysis can help you understand the characteristic of those who will be participating in training. Then person analysis reveal data what type of workers are going to participate for the training program. For example, whether they are young, whether they are old, whether they are lacking the technical orientation, or sometimes workers are not like for understanding or applying the new technologies. Then that kind of employee category we can find through person analysis. I have two videos regarding training in analysis for your better understanding.
Assessing organizational training needs is the diagnostic phase of a training plan. The assessment includes issues related to employee and organizational performance to determine if training can help. Needs assessment measures the competencies of an organization, a group, or an individual as they relate to what's required. It's necessary to find out what is happening and what should be happening before deciding if training will help, and if so, what kind of training is needed. Identifying gaps in performance is key to the assessment process. Effective training planning efforts consider the following questions. Is there really a need for training? Who needs to be trained? Who will do the training? What form will the training take? How will knowledge be transferred to the job? And how will the training be evaluated? First step in assessing training needs is analyzing what training might be necessary. There are 3 sources used to analyze training needs. Training needs can be diagnosed by analyzing organizational outcomes and looking at future organizational needs. A part of planning for training is identifying the KSAs that will be needed now and in the future as both jobs and the organization change. Both internal and external forces will influence training and must be considered when doing organizational analysis. A second level of analyzing training needs involves reviewing the jobs and tasks performed. Comparing worker skills in a job category to the skills needed for successful job performance can identify gaps that can be filled by training. The third means for diagnosing training needs focuses on individuals and how they perform their jobs. The most common approach for making individual analysis involves using performance appraisal data. To assess training needs through the performance appraisal process, a supervisor first determines an employee's performance strengths and inadequacies in a formal review. Then the supervisor can design training to help the employee overcome the weaknesses and enhance their strengths. Obtaining this kind of input can be useful in building support for the training from those who will be trained, particularly because they are well positioned to help identify training needs.